Hello, my name is Nasiah Johnson, and today the metal I'll be presenting you is bronze. So, what is bronze and how is it found? Well, bronze is a metal alloy made up of copper and tin. This metal is created through a mixture of copper and tin by melting the two together at a temperature of 1100 degrees Celsius. Bronze has its origins dating back to 3300 BCE in early Middle East, where it would greatly be used for intricate statues, figures, and any normal day of the life creation. They even had shoes of bronze. So, where exactly is bronze? Well, when you look around, you don't typically think about all the metals that are surrounding you, and you especially don't think about bronze, but it's actually a lot more common than you think, especially once you're going over bridges or when you're looking out at the sea, and it's because bronze is a very, very durable metal. Even in electrical boxes and electrical outlets, some of them very much use bronze, and that is because it is good at dulling electricity, but it also is very good with being durable with seawater, which is known for eroding other metals fairly quickly. But it's also found in instruments such as pianos, guitars, double bass, saxophones, trumpets, trombones. It's kind of everywhere. Now, typically, it is used for like bearings and seals when it comes to heavy equipment, but it had a whole era and it swept the nation. It had involvement in religions, art, currency, and wars. It blew up when it was first discovered. So, how is it created? How is it made? Bronze isn't exactly its own metal, of course. So, it's not just going to be found out in the wild. No, it is, in fact, created through a multitude of processes, but it begins with something called refining, which is essentially purifying the metals that it is created with. Considering that it's created with primarily copper and tin, they need to be pure before they can be combined. So, copper refining is basically when the copper is crushed and smelted in a furnace, creating a matte copper. And then there's tin refining, which is when tin ore is roasted with carbon in a reverberatory furnace at a temperature of over 1200 degrees Celsius. It's turned into a crude metal, and then from there, it'll be ready for a liquidation. So then, there needs to be a separation of impurities, all the bad stuff, all the gunk that needs to be taken out. So it is combined with a mixture of either silica or limestone. And what this does is bind all the bad stuff together and rises it up to the top, so it is much easier to remove, and then it can go on to conditioning, which is pretty much a process of alloying, degassing, deoxidating, and then thermal conditioning, which pretty much just, it's a process which is basically, the hydrogen gas is removed using gas flushes, That's what alloying is. Degassing, the phosphorus copper is added to bind harmful oxygen impurities, creating a layer that floats to the top so it can then be removed. Deoxidation, which is finally just kind of in that same boat. The thermal cooling, which is basically cooling the bronze at a specific temperature so it can refine into a certain material or structure. So in this last slide, I have pretty much just a few pictures of finishing products. Like if you look at the top right picture, this is a bronze statue, basically demonstrating how much they loved using bronze to create like art, because it was heavily involved in the art, and it was also involved with religious figures, all the sorts. And then to the left at the top, you can see pretty much, bearings and stuff like that, where it's more commonly used nowadays. So basically, the top left is the modern use of bronze, and the top right is previous use of bronze. Now the bottom left is also giving some demonstrations of what bronze can look like, and the bottom right is just showing how bronze is an instrument. So yeah, it is kind of everywhere. It is a very useful metal, and it is incredibly helpful for creating things that we appreciate and we use all the time without even realizing. And this is the end of my presentation, so thank you so much for listening, and you have a lovely day.